crisis now around the world.
Well, this is another example of how the shock doctrine. We're seeing a version of this. We're seeing a version of disaster capitalism in the context of the food crisis, where you have that same hearing another sort of echo chamber response from the World Bank, from the U.S. State Department, from the agribusiness companies, and that refrain is the cause of the food crisis is that too many of these countries don't allow genetically modified foods, and genetically modified crops can feed the world and solve the food crisis. So trying to use this crisis to break through a legislative barrier that exists for good reason. We're also seeing something else, which is that these companies are buying up hundreds of patents on seeds that they claim are climate ready. Climate ready is, we've heard about Roundup ready, which means they're ready for Roundup fertilizer. Now the new phrase is climate ready, which means they're ready for climate change, which means that these seeds apparently can grow in the context of drought, can grow in the context of highly salinated earth because there's been a flood. And Monsanto and Syngenta, other of these big biotech companies have bought up hundreds of these patents. And this is worrying on many levels. I think it's worrying because, once again, we're seeing a disincentive to actually get us out of a future of climate chaos because we see ways to profit. So if they really are developing seeds that are climate ready, and they're also patenting them and buying them up, then really what we're seeing is not a future of feeding the world, but once again a future of kind of climate apartheid, where it becomes less accessible and more expensive to have the crops that will grow in this future. And so I think people need to identify this right away, and the discussion needs to be about the right to food, about food being a human right. This is far too important to allow players like Monsanto to privatize the future of the crops that can grow within a context of climate change.